WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk.
Hello. This is Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday evening. I know I am. The weather's great. I had a great drive in from Tampa tonight. So it's going to be a wonderful evening as far as I'm concerned tonight on tonight's show, Real Family Talk. Let me go ahead and welcome my guests here with me tonight. I got Jeremy's in the building. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How y'all doing out there?
We're doing all right, brother. We're doing all right. We got Miss McCrae's in the building. She's having some, she's about to choke to death over there on me, Miss McCrae. What's going on, Miss McCrae?
I'm good.
You better take a swig of that Gatorade, Miss McCrae. You choked to death over there. We want to make sure you're all right now. We want to make sure you're all right. Yeah, man, we want to go ahead and kick off the show, man. We'll jump right into it. Let's get to some hot news topics happening in the news right now. Of course, the biggest thing happening right now, man, they just had a shooting over in Texas at Fort Hood. The shooter, they say at this point, is killed himself, so he's dead as well. And there are several injured people, and they're basically still trying to fish out what happened and why it happened, and so, you know, what's going on, what caused this young man, who they have identified him as being a soldier himself, but what caused him to basically open fire at his workplace on Fort Hood, the hospital, and injure several people, potentially kill several people, as well as eventually and ultimately killing himself. So we send prayers out to the families that are affected by that situation. It's a sad situation when you have soldiers who basically put all their lives on the line for us out there, and then they come all the way home, make it home safe, or, you know, they were stationed there and never went away, but then die on what should be home. It's always a sad situation. You know, you feel like you're safe when you're on your own American soil, American base. You feel like that's a safe place to be. That's the one place where you're more than likely not going to die. So it's a sad situation when you actually do. So, again, prayers go to all those families and that are affected by that situation. And hopefully they are able to at least fish out and at least give closure to, in some way, shape, or form, as to what caused this young man to go and shoot everybody in his workplace. We'll see, though. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number if you want to join these conversations here at the station, WOKB 1680 AM. Some of the other things happening, of course, as of Monday, the enrollment for the Affordable Care Act is now over. So if you want to register, you're going to have to wait a year. And it also sounds like they hit their goal, Miss McCrae. Mm-hmm. They say over 7 million people signed up for it as well. So I guess kudos. They at least accomplished what they wanted in terms of sign-ups for the enrollments. Of course, as we all know, there was over 20-something delays also implemented as a part of that process, as far as things that aren't going to happen this year that were supposed to happen this year as a part of the bill, but now they have pushed them off. Some things over the next year, other things 2 years. And so, you know, for me, Ms. McCrae, as I listen to this and I hear them celebrate how many people signed up, the question I ask Ms. McCrae is, how does that affect the overall budget, though, for the program? Because there was two things touted when the program was created. The first, of course, was that you have this program that are now going to allow the uninsured to sign up and get affordable insurance. So that was one. So, you know, I have my disagreements on whether or not it was affordable, Ms. McCrae, but we'll say that that goal was accomplished But then the second goal, Ms. McCray, of course, was that it was going to not add anything to the deficit, and the cost of it was not going to exceed $1 trillion over the first 10 years. So my question that I haven't heard answered, because apparently this is no longer important, Ms. McCray,
don't do that.
I'm talking to you, Ms. McCray.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
The question that I haven't heard answered for me, Ms. McCray, is how does now that $1 trillion budget, how is that affected with all of these delays? Are they still going to be able to come under this $1 trillion budget now that they have delayed? 20-something pieces of this law have been delayed for whatever reasons. How is the budget going to be? Is it still going to come under $1 trillion in 10 years? And then if it isn't, is it still a success? Because his big thing was, I'm not going to add anything to the deficit with this program. So if it's going over budget or not meeting budget, is it still the epic win of the day? That's the question, Ms. McCray. I'm going to give it to you, Ms. McCray.
Once again, you and your cynical self. Time will tell. There's no way to answer that right now. You can't answer it. No one can. So you can pose the question, but no one can answer that yet. Stop looking for stuff. Just looking
ask the question
for trouble.
Can I not ask questions?
Always got to find the bad side to everything. Why can't you celebrate the 7 million people now have health care?
Right.
Just celebrate that.
That's the success.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, there's two parts to that, and if it does go over budget, and ends up being a drain or a part of the deficit that they face every year, then to me it's still not a success, because that was his two big promises. I promise it's not going to go over this particular budget, and then I promise it's going to be a great thing for America. So again, I will give him at least the signups, but I think because one of the things that they touted was the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office's analysis of that bill as to why it was not going to go over that $1 trillion. And in doing some reading about the CBO scores everything based on how you write it. So anytime you change the writing of a particular bill, then the CBO, in order to effectively assess it, they would need to go back and review it again based on with your new changes. And so logically, they didn't obviously take into account all of these delays that they were going to put in place for over the next year to 2 years. So logically, if they're going to assess this thing, they'd have to assess it now based on that to determine if it still comes under the quote-unquote budget that they initially quoted. So they're not going to do that, because at this point it's really not important to the American public, to the president, to his administration, to Congress, especially Democrats. So they're not going to do that. But I'd like to see over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, Ms. McCray, if it actually comes under the budget as he touted.
Key word. You just said it yourself. In the
like
next 5 to 10.
Unfortunately, that's the only time they're going to ask the question.
Well,
so I have to wait, because nobody's going to ask it today, because that's not important. We know the media is in his pocket, so they're certainly not going to ask that question. Republicans haven't really raised that question yet. They're too busy trying to fight to end the bill and hoping that they'll take over in the 2014 November elections, and then now have 2 majorities in the House and the Senate, and then potentially once again try and kill it again. That's where their focus is. So nobody's asking that question, but that's the question I want to know.
Okay.
Does it still meet budget, Mr. McCray?
All right.
As he said, so many years ago now. How many years ago was that it passed? What was that? 2008, right?
Don't do that.
2008. Oh, it's questions, Miss McCray.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to ask these questions, Miss McCray. Somebody. So I'm going to ask him, Miss McCray. I'm going to ask him. Another big thing. Yeah, what's up, sir?
Okay, let's say the Republicans the Republicans take over and they kill the bill. What happens then?
Well, ultimately, if they're going to kill the bill, they still have to get him to sign off on it. So,
I mean, okay. I mean, well, let's say it happens when the next president.
What they can really do, the main thing that they can do is really kind of try and affect funding, is what they could. That's the real thing that they can do, is try and affect funding and find ways to not fund different portions of the plan, because again, that's sort of enough flaw in this bill. I mean, bills in general, really, you vote for the bill is passed, but then now you have to go back and vote every year when you do your budget for money to be allocated towards that bill. Mm-hmm. And so their efforts, are going to be towards finding ways to defund the bill and not send money towards it. And that's their way of, quote unquote, killing the bill, because ultimately any votes that they do to, get rid of it altogether, one, he still has to sign it. And obviously he's not going to sign legislation that kills his bill. So that's going to be more in principle and, make people feel good on the conservative Republican side or whatever. But ultimately the easier way for them to kind of manipulate this thing is to kill the funding, because all funding comes out of the House. So if the House doesn't put it in the budget get approved, then they're slowly siphoning it off. But ultimately what that's going to do, because at this point it's in our fabric, right? You got 7 million people signed up. So somebody's got to fund this thing, right? So if you don't fund it, it ultimately ends up being another drain on the economy. But we'll see. If the people go out and vote in 2014, remember almost every congressional seat in America is up for vote this year. So if you go out and vote and keep, at least the status quo of where we are today, or go out and vote and put more Democrats in office or help more Democrats get into office, then, we won't be having these questions. But people got to get out and vote. And it's an off year. There's no presidential election. There's no sexy candidates out there that are just wowing the people, if you will. So it's going to take a lot of gump on the part of people to want to get out and actually go vote, do some research. Because at this point, we're in April, the election's in November, and we're still not even seeing ads yet. And so you got to go do some research, man. Who's running? Right. You got to go do some research to find out who's running and what they stand for. And people are going to have to hopefully get out and do that. And like I said, get some more Democrats in the congressional seats out there, and you won't have these problems. You get more Republicans in the seats out there, and the fight continues. The story goes on and on and on and on. But ultimately, I think at this point it will be in our fabric. They can fight all they want. I don't think they'll ever really kill the bill. What they'll do is make some changes to it. Ultimately, I think even if you do get a Republican president in 2016, I think they'll make some changes. But ultimately, it's here to stay. And good or bad, funded or not funded, it's going to be here. It's like Social Security. It's like disability fund.
They will find a way to make some money off of
it. They're going to find a way to keep it going and keep funding it, even if it's a drain on what we're trying to do as a country. So, we'll see, man. We'll see. Another big story that came out this week as well. This one got released today. The Supreme Court made a decision about campaign finance, and the decision that they made is ultimately they said that individuals, where there used to be a limit of what you can contribute to campaigns, they said individuals now can contribute up to $5,200 to any campaign they so choose, with no limits now.
Hold on, say it again.
I said individuals. There used to be a limit.
Right.
Now there is no limit to how many campaigns you get. There used to be a limit on how much you can contribute in a 2-year cycle. So they said about $120,000. So you can't contribute any more as an individual than $120,000 in a 2-year cycle. Right. So what the Supreme Court said today was, now you have a limit, but that limit is $5,200. Okay. So, but the key here is you can contribute that $5,200 to as many people as you desire. So you can fund $5,200 to the 10 people that are running for office in your state if you so desire. Or if you want to put it to 30 candidates across the country, you can give every one of those 30 candidates $5,200. So, of course, it was a Republican National Committee-led effort. Of course, Democrats are screaming that's unfair it's going to cause undue process, and people are not going to be paying for votes, blah, blah, blah. To me, I think it's a bad idea. I think we need to take we need to take as much money out of the campaign finance as possible. But ultimately, for Democrats to scream is somehow an unfair battle, to me is I call that fakery, if you will, on that. I mean, Democrats ultimately have just as much money as the Republicans to contribute. So to call it an unfair battle, to me, is just absolutely ridiculous. President Obama raised over $1 billion or close to it to fund his reelection. Mitt Romney raised close to $1 billion to fund his reelection. So to tell me that Democrats are somehow going to be disadvantaged in this particular vote, come on. Who you talking to, man? Who you talking to?
Now, what they do with the money when they don't use all of it?
Well, that's a good question. You know, it does. One of the criticisms is that they say it opens up to different loopholes and, you know,
so
back
channels. It go in
somebody's
pocket, basically.
But you know, hey, it was doing that anyway. So this ruling doesn't change anything. I
figured that. I'm just
you know, this ruling doesn't change anything. It perhaps makes it easier to get more money, but it doesn't change anything. The game has always been the game.
Right.
So you know, Democrats are crying foul. Republicans are crying freedom of speech, which is that was the argument that the Supreme Court used. They say you're infringing upon a person's First Amendment rights to limit them to how much campaign contribution that they make in any particular election season. So they ruled, you know, you can't violate people's First Amendment rights. So they put a limit of 5,200, but said that 5,200 can go to as many candidates as you so desire. So we'll see. Like I said, at the end of the day, I think we need to take as much campaign finance out of elections. But hey, everybody got money. You know, the only people crying foul to me, I can see where black people might be a little concerned because we typically don't contribute money to elections, you know, so maybe our issues may not get as heard as loud as others. But at the end of the day, you know, there's people out there that got $5,200 that can contribute to 10, 15, 20, 30 candidates if they so desire on both sides of the party. So I don't really see how anybody's going to suffer, quote unquote, in this battle. And for those that don't have the money, you know, it's time for us to mobilize and build the organizations from a people standpoint and show them with votes what's powerful, and not so much money, because at the end of the day, it's where you vote that matters, not necessarily how much money you got. Because trust me, if 2 million people come out to express their opinion on something, somebody's going to listen. They're not just going to ignore 2 million people. You know what I'm saying? So money's important, but power and strong action and will of the people are more important if people actually do that. We'll see, brother. Y'all got any comments on that one? We're moving on. Ms. McCray says keep it moving, sir.
I'm not ready. Let's hold out on politics for as long as we can.
Ms. McCray, we gotta know what's happening, Ms. McCray.
I mean, I know.
This is a big deal.
We're aware of this.
This is a big deal, Ms. McCray.
I've been
people
reading.
Need to know.
I'm just.
People need to know. That's a big deal.
I hate election time.
Why you hate election time?
I mean, because we're involved. Like, we read all this stuff, and then I see the craziness of it on both sides. Actually, it's just exhausting. It's exhausting. This whole game, it's just exhausting. I'm not ready for it. Next. just give us a couple more weeks, J-Real.
That's all right, Mr. K. I just wanted to inform you, not necessarily discuss it anyway, Mr. K.
No, you want to keep it going.
No, Mr.
We
K.
know you.
No,
we know
Mr.
what you
K.
do.
Not this time, I promise.
Okay.
One last question, non-political on this one story. Deshaun Jackson, you know, he got cut from the Eagles last week. He's now a Redskin. I like that move for the Redskins. Deshaun Jackson is one of the exciting players of the league. I mean, he can catch the ball. He's great on punt returns and special teams. I think it's going to be a big move for the Redskins. If RG3 can come back and stay healthy this year, which is the key to their success with Deshaun Jackson out there, they once again got to play two players now on offense, man. And the running game was already pretty good. So we'll see, man. The Redskins, they might have something to do next year, man. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
The Redskins is all about their defense. What their defense go do?
You think so? What do you think their defense is going to do? I haven't seen them do anything with the defense, so they may not.
That's what I'm saying.
They may not be doing much. Maybe they're gonna build through the draft, man. Maybe they're gonna build through the draft. Who's the new coach of the Redskins? I don't even remember.
You should know his last name Gruden. He used to coach the Orlando Predators.
Jay Gruden, that's right. Okay. So the offense should be dynamic too. He did wonders out there in Cincinnati. I'll give him that.
He's a good offensive coach.
We'll see, man. We're looking forward. But Redskins made a good move on that. Good move on that, man. We'll keep it moving, though. We'll get to our story tonight. If you've been listening for the last few weeks, we've been talking a lot about dating, men and women and dating, talked about relationships, the rules of dating, and so we want to continue that theme tonight. And tonight I want to talk about blended families. So moving into dating with dating single moms, single dads, and then ultimately those families becoming blended. Whether it be in marriage or shacking or however you do it, those families becoming blended. That's what we want to discuss tonight. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. So, blended families. First question: what are the challenges? What are the challenges that men and women face, single moms, single dads face when trying to date? What are some of those challenges? And how do they overcome? How do they overcome some of those challenges? Jeremy, you got a comment on that? We both have experience in this area, so I won't call myself an expert, but I'll say I've had some experience. But I'll let you talk first, bro.
Well, I'm not an expert either. Mine actually hadn't been bad at all. No problems, no complaints, anything to that nature. Some obstacles, like I say, my boy, he's still young, so. He's just still like a real serious father-son relationship. He ain't got to that age where as men we do anyway. We just buck. We get about 14, 15. Whether you blend it or not. You go start smelling yourself a little bit, and I'm a man. Especially I got a little height on me. So that's a challenge you go face one way or the other. But like I said, I have no problems, no complaints. Some other challenges. Now, you might have, as they say, baby mama drama or baby daddy drama, depending on your situation, or kids drama, depending on your situation.
Right. Because it all depends, too. I mean, it makes a big difference, too, if you come into a blend family where, while there may be single moms or single dads, there may be a baby's father that's very active or a baby's mom that's very active. And so it becomes... Now you have to find a way to try and build a relationship, or at least build a peace, or however you want to describe it. Some peaceful interaction between this third individual that is now in your relationship. Because obviously, as you raise their son or daughter, they're gonna want to contribute or have something to say about that situation. So. Definitely, if you don't have it, if that single mom or dad doesn't have an active partner in raising that child, it certainly kind of eases some of the situation, because you don't have that third interaction that you have to also figure out how to deal with and make peace with, if you will.
Yeah, but like I say, mine's a little easier just because his father's out of state, so it's not like you can just show up. Like ain't no pop-ups or nothing like that, or ain't no. Okay, I'm coming to see him tomorrow. It's a plan.
And you got a plan when you got to stay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna say I've been pretty fortunate so far. When I've dated men who've had children, there hadn't been any issues. They're great fathers. They take care of them. It seemed to be they were at a point where they worked out the kinks. So actually, both kids were like between 7 and 9. So I felt like they had time, the parents, the two had time to kind of work things out. I have a rule. If I meet somebody and he has a kid, okay, I need to know how old that kid is. That will tell me how much drama I can kind of prepare for. So if you holler at me and your baby's 6 months, nope. No, just nice to meet you. We need time, because clearly that's too much. Y'all are too fresh. It's too fresh right now. It's too much going on. Y'all still trying to figure out who's going to keep the baby. And no, she might still have dreams of wanting you to be together. I don't. So there's an age for me.
But what if I say we didn't got no dreams? It was something that just happened.
Yeah, but see, if she has that dream, if she thought, oh, okay, in my head, I'm pregnant, we're a family now, and she's trying to force that family, she's going to be a problem. Like, she's going to cause more of an issue, I feel like. I've seen it happen. So I'm just...
It has happened.
Yeah. So I'm not... No, I need a age gap.
You need a buffer zone.
A little bit. So, I mean, what we look at, the ideal environment for that, when we look at Will and Jada and Cherie Fletcher, their situation, they've talked about it openly. They've come a very long way with how they co-parent the kids and the relationships that they have. Like, he loves Jada. Oh God, what's the little boy's name? Trey. He loves Jada just like he loves his mom, and vice versa. So they vacation together and they do all kinds of things like that. Even Russell Simmons and his wife, there are pictures of them going on vacation together. Like, that's what you want it to be like. Okay, we didn't work out. We're here for our kids. You moved on with somebody else. I've moved on too. Can't we just be adults about this thing? It's when that breakup happens and somebody else wants to hold on and try to be more than what it is when things become a problem. And if you're just jealous, men or women, like, I mean, some of my guy friends, they're the mother of their child. I can't stand the term baby mama and baby daddy. The mother of their child is just causing trouble, beef with the new girl. It just really depends on the communication that you two have had before, and then what you move on from there. For me, if I'm dating a guy and I know he has a kid, I want him to be involved. Like, I'm that type of, you need to call your child. We need to do something do something. Like, I'm that girl. Like, you have a child, I'm going to push you to take care of your child. Because that, to me,
that's good.
That's just unattractive. If I know you have a child and you don't do good for this child, what you gonna do for ours if we make it that way? So that's, make it that far. It's telling to me how you behave in certain instances.
Also, how are you gonna love me fully if you can't even love the child that is yours fully as well? You have to wonder about that too sometimes. That, and
how you treat the mother of your child. You two might not get along and it may have not worked out, but that's still the mother of your child, and on some level you need to have some type of respect. I went out with a guy before and we were talking, and he had an argument with her or something, and he just flat out said, no joking, like, he was dead serious. He's like, you know what, I would be okay if somebody murdered her. I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
What'd you say? I was like, are you serious? He's like, yes, I'm dead serious. I said, wait a minute. Okay. So the mother of your child, you want your son's mom to be murdered, and you'd be okay with that? And he was dead serious. He looked me in my eyes, said, check, please. Check. Lose my number. Bye-bye. What? Like that? And so we're sitting there and he's looking at my face like, oh, did I say something wrong? He said, I'm losing points with you, aren't I? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in the negative, bruh. Like, we're done. It's over. Because that's not cute to me. Like, if you talking trash about her, again, what would you say about me? I can't deal. He was dead serious too.
He also might have just been in the heat of his argument.
I don't care. You don't say that to somebody you trying to talk to.
You don't say that to.
Okay.
You called him at the moment he was hot.
You did catch
very emotional.
Look, you need to woo-saw before you come in my presence with it. Like, what?
But you certainly can't share that.
I want
especially not with somebody
the mother of my child to be murdered. Excuse me? Okay. I'm going to leave right now.
You should have ran out of there.
I know. I was like, deuces, I'm out.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680. You know, one of the I think the challenges, especially that the parent who has the children, bigger challenges is figuring out, you know, when the relationship is progressing to the point where I even want you to even meet my children. That's another big challenge that you face. And then it's that other person's reaction to that situation. I can speak to my situation. I think I don't remember how many months that we waited, but I know that there was obviously an extended period of time before that initial introduction, just because I think that single parent has to first figure out, is this person even worthy? Is this person even worthy to take it to the next step and introduce my child to? Because this may just be somebody that I met on Monday, and by Monday next week, I might be on to the next one, if you will, because I just found out that this person is not somebody that I want to be pursuing for a long period of time. So that's usually a big challenge that single parents have as well, that they have to kind of get over. And I think a lot of it goes to, back to dating. You have to get to know somebody. You really have to date people. Yeah. And instead of just assuming based off of those, maybe those 4 or 5 conversations that you had on the phone, or these days that you texted each other, or that those 1 or 2 dates, or the 1 or 2 times he hung out at your house, and kind of, that's good, and that gets you, a little bit of that person. But I think you really need to date somebody 3-4 months or so before you really meet the person and not the representative, as Miss McCray might reference sometimes. Because a lot of times when you meet people, the first time you meet their representative. In Ms. McCrae's case, in that one situation, she certainly met that dude. His representative got left at home.
That was him.
He's probably very upset about that too.
Blowing me up. Why you not taking my phone call?
I know you were supposed to call. I was supposed to call in.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number.
Problem with that also, even when you're dating and you think it's going to work, it's going well, you're introduced to the child, and then it still doesn't work, like you become kind of attached. I become attached to the kid. Like I kind of miss some of the kids more than the guys. Not all of them, but just some of them. They're just really cool kids, which then tells me that they were doing a good job as parents for these kids to be doing well. But that's a hard part too, because then it's like, okay, then after you break up, does the kid say, "Hey, Dad, where's so and so?" And the dad's like, "Yeah."
That's one of them things that's real tricky, because that's why it's like, I know I guess every situation is different, but I'm almost like, to me, if ain't no ring on the finger, ain't no need for you to meet nobody. Because just for that situation, and because at the end of the day, you got to think of the kids first. You got to. And you don't want to get a situation like, obviously, like, we as adults, we can become attached. But then just think about when that kid becomes attached. Yeah. Especially if they don't have that second parent on a normal basis, and all of a sudden they start seeing you on a regular basis. And then it's like, so now it gets like, oh, man, And that's what I be thinking about. I be thinking about the children. Like me, I don't want to meet nobody kids. I mean, obviously I'm married now, so I ain't got to worry about it. But I really don't want to meet your child if I ain't serious. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't want to meet your baby. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean and sensitive, but I'm just trying to be, let's just be honest. Let's be honest what we're dealing with here.
Right.
If you're not serious, right? And I know I ain't got no intentions of marrying you, and you don't even got a clue if you think you might want to marry me. Why am I meeting them? To me, it's like it's nothing good going to come from it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's nothing good going to come from it.
Exactly. Because ultimately, it's going to lead to is hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to hurt.
And, and especially, with kids, and I always get along with kids, too. So I don't want to be around, and especially if they ain't used to having no father, I'm coming around, and I'm chilling and hanging out with them, then all of a sudden they looking, it's like,
where's Mr. Jeremy?
You know what I'm saying?
Where is he? Yeah, I don't.
Might have to meet, and then I'm going to have to start a mentoring program.
I know.
407-894-1680. 407-894-1680. We're discussing blended families, some of the challenges that single parents face in building blended families, and different experiences that blended families have. How do you make it work? Well, go ahead, Ms. McCray. You were going to comment, though.
Heck, I forgot. I miss some of the kids. That's the main thing. I miss some of the kids. But then what I found interesting also, another guy that I met who has a son, he was like, if you would have had a kid, we wouldn't have been dating. What? So you want someone to date you and accept your child, but you won't date a woman who has children.
You want to hear something funny about that? My wife told me the same thing.
That she wouldn't date.
She said if I had a kid, she would have never would have talked to me.
Wow.
That is hilarious. I thought it was funny personally.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
it sounded good till you meet me. Then it's like, okay, well.
Right. And his reasoning, I mean, he was like, because I know how difficult it is to have a child and try to date, and so two of us putting that together, and then it just would be even more complicated. So I was like, so are you saying you eliminate all women who have children, period? He says, it's just my preference. So when he softened his response a little bit more, I was like, okay. Because I thought you was like, oh, no, you got a child? No. Like, wait, bruh. We have to accept you, but you're not going to accept another woman's child?
Well, let's be honest. I would say that at least he's honest.
Right. At least he told you.
Yeah.
I don't have kids.
It's not. But no, what I'm saying is like he doesn't go into a situation with the representative.
Right.
Because he think you fine. Say, okay, well, shoot, she fine. You know, I can put up with this for 6 months and I'll be out anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Me and my babies.
You know what I'm saying? So it's at least he's honest. But I will say, too, though, with my situation, when we were still living in the same state, we didn't have any problems. You know, me and my son's father, we get along real good. We fine. You know, we both understand. As far as our relationship, we both got the same goal. We want him to succeed. We want him to grow up, be a good man. You know.
There you go. See, that's adult.
We got to understand the grown. Exactly,
that's
grown
adult.
folk.
Yes, that is an adult.
Grown. I like to say, hey, I'm grown. I'm grown man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not all situations are that sweet and beautiful. There are a lot of times that other parent who is not a part of the new relationship or the new blended family, you know, and who's still trying to find their own, if you will. A lot of times they do, though, cause shade to whatever you're trying to build, and that's when the challenge comes in. That's when it really takes strong people to now be able to sort of fight off the negative that's coming from outside. And that in and of itself is a lot of the reason why the young man that you were describing a few minutes ago, that's probably why he feels the way that he did. It's because he knows what he went through, perhaps with his particular the mother of his child, and so by knowing what he went through from the mother of his child, he doesn't want to bring now a woman into the situation who also now has a father of her child, and then now he's got, you know, it's difficult to deal with 3, but now you got 4, you know, and so, you know, I can understand his position in the sense and where he's coming from, because when you're talking about building relationships, we all know relationships are hard and challenging in and of themselves, even when you're talking about 2 single people. But then now when you bring in, you know, 1 child, you got 2 child, and then you got a 3rd child on the other end. You know, all it does is it adds that much more layer to the relationship, which brings that much more challenge, potentially. You know, sometimes it goes over and it's smooth as sailing, but most times it goes over and there's some hurdles. and it takes strong people to be able to begin to jump those hurdles and then still survive and keep it moving. And not everybody's strong enough to be able to do that. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680.
You know, I'm fearful of that. Like, I mean, unfortunately nowadays, and as I get older and older, I'm 32, and the older I get, the more and more men I meet that already have children. Yeah. So I hate that we have to kind of settle and say, oh, well, expect at least 1. But I have my limits. So, again, if I meet a man and if he has more than 1 from 2 different people or 3 kids from 3 different, no, you're fertile. And you're going to.
But I was young once.
No. Depending on how old the kids are,
I'm a changed man.
Okay, well,
3
of them.
Miss McCray says
3 different women.
Hey, but
it makes a big difference, too.
That was 5 years ago I had my last one.
No.
I mean, he my fifth one, but I mean.
Okay, see.
and I take care of all of them.
No, I want no.
I'm a good man.
I want no part to that, because just what you said, if you're coming to me with 5 children from 5 different women, excuse me, you talked about 2 or 1. That's 5 different women.
I never said it was 5 women. I just said it was my 5th child.
I'm just talking about hypothetical. If it's 5, if you have 3 kids from 3 different women.
Look at it like this. At least I'm not gonna want you to have 4 or 5.
Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm not going to give you a high five. Because you, 5, no. So I have limits. So it's like, okay. And I'm always challenged by my friends, what if you meet a guy, and he's blah, 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 and he has more than 1 child? Father, help me. We're going to have to pray on that one, because I just... Unless, like I think we talked about in a show before, if he was married, like if he was in a committed relationship and he fathered 2 children in his marriage while he was young, say he got married, one fresh out of college. I've seen it happen. And now we're 30-something and he's divorced, but he has 2 kids. That is different. As opposed, it's still a
little shaky ground.
Still bothers me a little bit, but I could swallow that pill better than you busting out with like 3 different kids from 3 different women. Like, no.
Well, you know.
And then 1 at 6 months. No. Double no. Keep stepping. Nice to meet you. Just nice to meet you. Have a blessed day. Take care of your kids. But you and I,
it's not gonna happen. Here's something interesting. You know, one obviously. Growing up, you know, as you grow up and you mature and you begin to get into relationships, a lot of times you seek the advice of your parents and whatnot, or, you know, your parents or some elder that you respect, or, you know, auntie, uncle, whatever, somebody older than you that's had some experience. And when you seek that advice, you know, I found it interesting in my own personal situation. I was actually advised against getting into a relationship with someone who already had kids, because of just that. They told me, you know, man, there's challenges in place that happen that you don't even understand yet. And I had to give a point to them. I didn't understand at the time. I understand now, but at the time I didn't understand at the time. But the challenges in place that you're going to have to experience, that, you know, you know, your elders, they're looking out for you. They're trying to find and guide you to what they think is going to be best for you, and avoid some of the hurdles that they experience. Essentially, is where the advice comes from. And so, and that was their advice. They were like, you know, you should really watch out for it. And if I were you, I'd really think about it, and then perhaps go find someone, as Ms. McCrae suggested, that didn't have any kids, because it'd be a lot easier to be able to develop a relationship with that person and kind of deal with that person, as opposed to trying to deal with that person and then that person's kids, and then whatever else might come along with that. 407-894-1680, 407-894-1680 is the number. What do you think about that, Jeremy?
I think if you really think you found the right person, you know, or if you prayed about it, or whatever the case may be, if you really feel like you found the right person, or you feel like God has sent you the right person, you have to ignore some things. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, we all have some sort of, say standards, of what, you know, a list or some preferences, or what we think we want, or think that we need before we get into a relationship with someone. And especially when you get married, you're going to end up crossing out a lot of that stuff on that list, because you feel like, you know, I really love this person. So I would say, you know, you can't, I mean, you can't let the kids just say, the kids be that stopping block, is what I'm trying to say. You know, you don't want it to be that stopping block, you know, because that kid could end up being a blessing to your life. Or those children could end up being a blessing to your life.
See how I'm looking at you?
I see how
now?
you're looking at me.
Giving you the side.
That's why I look back at you.
Giving you the side.
Those children can be a blessing to your life. You never know.
True. Yeah.
They could be a blessing to your life.
Children. Bless the children.
Yeah. When they might bless
them.
you never know.
You might be raising the next Shaq.
You know.
Because Shaq had a stepdad.
Oh,
yeah.
3 of them. It's just 3 different women. Like,
It's a big disqualifier, huh, Miss McGrath?
it's huge.
Hey,
God gonna have to lead you on that
Ooh,
path.
what? if God says that this is the man for me, if he speaks that, Phyllis, this is your man.
I don't know if he might not necessarily speak it to you.
He'll give me a sign.
I would say, yeah, he'd probably give you a sign. I don't know if he'll speak it to you.
God talks to me. We have signs. We have a good relationship.
Oh, okay.
But we're gonna have to have a one-on-one about that if I'm presented with
that situation.
You know,
yeah. And I have been, and I've walked away. And
you know, it's funny though. Watch, we gonna go to her wedding,
and all 3 of his kids.
It's gonna be 5 little groomsmen, be five ring bearers.
Oh my God!
Stepmama.
I can't deal. No.
Don't forget about the flower girl now. You got
and 2 flower
girl.
You gonna start out with a basketball team with reserve.
Right. Who are all these kids, girl? That's my boo babies. Those his children, which are now my children. Stepmama Phyllis. Oh my God. I'm breaking down in hives.
She's
just
cringing
thinking
just,
about
just
it.
thinking about it.
You never know. They'd be a blessing to you.
I do. I mean, but I feel you. Like I said, I really miss some of the kids that I've met along the way. I miss them. They were really good kids. And so, that part sucks. It's hard.
I would say this too. As far as interest of kids, especially when they're real young, I'm really against it.
That's what I'm saying.
When they're real young, really like, well, these days it's a little different. These kids know everything. Probably 7 and under. Back in the day, probably like 15 and under. But,
right.
But now these kids, they, oh, okay. Hey, how you doing? Hey, get away from me. You ain't be hitting in 2 weeks. They'll tell you, these kids know,
Yeah.
They know these days, but, like them real young kids, and like especially like them 3 and 4 year olds, they go, especially you start playing with them.
I know. When they get attached.
You don't need to meet them.
Nah.
You don't need to meet them.
One was 5 when we first started dating, and it was a couple of years, so I kind of saw him grow up in Little League and all those things. And
and you went to Little League again?
And you went to Little League again?
I did. I liked him.
He probably still asks about you.
Where Miss Philly? I can hit that fastball now.
I want to show her how well I can hit now.
I know. She used to get me hot dogs out of the game.
I'm no longer using teas.
I know.
He was good. Oh, it's a cute kid. I'm going to stop talking about him because
I know.
I kind of miss him.
Let's stop. Oh, don't make dude call up.
You know what? Don't even put that in the atmosphere. Let's move on. Come on. Come on.
407-894.
David, is that you?
1680. 407-894-1680 is the number. Speaking of kids, we talked about a lot about kids. One of the challenges I think too that people face, especially that partner that is being introduced now to your kids, is the idea that, okay, we're going to be in this relationship now, I just automatically love your kids. Or is that a process, or should that be a process?
Okay, let's be honest. It's going to be a process now. Let's say, if them kids are a little older, because now y'all know some of these kids bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Johnny got one more time to be mean mug me now. He got one more time. You know what I'm saying? He got one more time. I'm going to introduce myself.
But that, and again, it depends on the relationship that he has or she has with the ex. Like if they're feeding negativity to the kid, you tell your daddy girlfriend or you tell your daddy boyfriend. Da, 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 da.
Hey, I'm telling you like this.
Kids are,
They can feed all the negativity they want. But when he come in my presence, don't be looking at me like you crazy.
Hey.
I'm trying to tell you.
That's sad,
I'll show you
though,
as fast as I can tell you.
when people kind of poison the kid's mind.
That's true. In situations like that, that's why I sit down and talk to the kids. Like, hey, I don't know what nobody told you, but this is not the situation or whatever. Or you just, I'm going to say go out your way, but you really just be hospitable to the child, because children, they'll figure it out pretty quickly. Especially, people saying one thing, but then they're seeing something different. Especially if you're being real caring to them and things like that. They'll figure it out. Hopefully, let's say.
Hopefully.
If there don't be no just ultra negative environment.
Right.
And then you should be praying anyway, but then you really got to be praying.
Right. Because the last thing you want to do is have to jump on the kid.
Exactly.
You don't want to have to, get raised up after they raise up on you. But typically you see that a lot too. I think again it goes back to the age of that child. Yeah. Because as the older the child, not necessarily the more resistance you might get, but certainly because that child's already developed their ways, right. you might find some challenges if that child is not somebody that understands how to sit down and talk, and can express themselves. You might see some challenges there, but when they're younger, it tends to at least go over a lot smoother just because at that age they like playing with everybody. Right. So if you're that guy or that girl that's there playing with them, they're going to get used to you from that aspect. And then as the relationship progresses, eventually they sort of at least, begin to understand that you're finna be there. And then at least accept some respect level for you based on that, and then slowly build something from there. But it certainly can be a challenge sometimes, depending on the age of those kids, how those kids react to you, how the mother reacts to you as well, and how she introduces you, or the father for that matter, how they introduce you, how they bring you into the relationship, how they treat you, because the kids are watching all of that. Right. And so if that opposite partner or that the parent of that child is seeing them treat you with not much respect, then that's sort of the relationship that they begin to develop with you. If they're not treating you with respect, well, my mama don't respect you.
Yeah, I ain't got to worry about you.
So I ain't got to worry about you. You know what I'm saying? So you also have to take into account, again, it takes effort. There's some challenge involved, and it's both parents really have to be mindful of what they're saying, how they're responding to each other, and have those types of conversations so that the kids understand exactly what's happening as the parents are moving towards that long term, that marriage, or wherever it is that your particular relationship is going. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680. Give us a call. We're talking about blended families and the challenges that you can face as you're building relationships within those blended families. Ms. McCray, you got any other comments on that?
I'm scared of it. That's all. I don't. I'm gonna keep an open mind.
To me, I don't necessarily know if fear is the word. Again, relationships in and of themselves are a challenge. Building a relationship and maintaining a long-term relationship, there are going to be some challenges involved. And certainly, again, it goes back to those two individuals. Right. If you can develop that relationship where the two of you can truly partner and understand that you are going to partner and really back each other up when those challenges arise, it can be, as Jeremy has said, a very smooth sailing.
That's my prayer.
Experience.
I pray about it.
So it's only when you're kind of not communicating, when you're not on the same page, when the challenges come, then they become bigger challenges because you weren't together at the time.
I pray about it that whenever it happens, whoever I meet, it'll work out. But man, when you meet a man that you don't got no kids, what? Cha-ching! You let him ride that's okay. You were late to the date. That's okay. We'll work on that. That's okay. You know my door. No. We'll work on it. It's okay. I got the door myself. You don't got no kids and you got a job and you educated, bruh. No, you can get away with just a teensy bit more than bruh man with 2 and 3 children.
At what point do you start looking and say, okay, now? Not saying something wrong because he don't got kids, right? But
because don't even ask that question because no.
I'm saying there's no kids, successful, single. Like, what's your problem, bro?
No, that's responsible. That means he wrapped it up, just like I'm wrapping it up or whatever, and I'm making my way through.
Is he career driven? And kind of unattached, unemotional.
I'm going to say that he was responsible.
Well, that's what you're going to say.
And that.
That sounds good.
He has gotten this far.
Well, she just told you she's going to make exceptions.
Without. He might have a little
She's
wiggle
going to work
room.
with him. She's going to work with him.
We're going to try to work this out. I mean, because that's like the golden ticket. That's Willy Wonka's golden ticket nowadays. Unfortunately, that's the life that we're living today. But I don't know. We'll see. He's responsible.
But see, you know what happens with that? See, but it educates on something else. Well, you probably know this too. You single, you date. that's when that representative come out. Oh no, I ain't got no kids. Cause maybe you feel like I would say, hey, well, if I ain't gonna be serious about her, ain't no reason. She ain't gonna never meet my child, so she ain't gonna know I got one.
Oh God. I hope you don't lie about your child. Like that's
You're not lying about your
You're not lying
child.
about
You just
your
was
child.
saying you don't have one.
I'm lying to you.
Yeah, I'm
about
lying
my
to
child.
you. Because I might just want to spend some time with you, and I know you don't want nobody with no kids.
Because
I don't say that. I don't be like, oh no, you got kids. No,
There's a way you can kind of,
but no,
you can beat around the bush about it.
I don't.
You can give out the vibe.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Because when the question comes up,
You bring this is you bring up that Will and Jada. Boy, I tell you
No.
one thing, boy. Jada's a good woman. She took that man with them kids. And you go automatic. You will have a comment about it.
What?
You gonna have a comment about it. You just say like Jada's a good woman because you know she took care of the she took Will, the oldest child, and you know she loved him like that. And you gonna have a comment one way or the other, and you gonna let the cat out of the bag. He said, okay, she don't need to know that.
No,
We're not even serious.
If you have,
I don't even know if I like her.
no, because if you do have a child, be honest and be truthful. Because then, if you do have a child and you're taking care of him, he or she, and you're loving on them and you're taking care, that gives me points. Because then, if you're taking care of your child, it's like, okay, you have one now. That's a whole nother way of revealing yourself to me.
Okay, now let me ask
Of
you
how
this.
you
And
treat-
this is gonna be this is a little off the wall, but I just want to throw it out there.
I know you're gonna come crazy.
Not too crazy. Okay, let's say a man does have a child.
Yes.
Very responsible. You got a date. Something happens. He got to bring the child with him. What you do then?
Is this our first date?
Yeah. Here comes little Johnny.
But see, that's what we're talking. Would you want to introduce your child to somebody on the first date?
Hey, I'm just throwing it out there. I never said what I would do. I'm just throwing it out there.
I wouldn't mind. I'd be like, well, obviously we would have to change up what we're doing or something so that it's kid
I
friendly.
never said maybe he's not going to like say,
maybe not. Because y'all might have just been going to Golden Corral.
or something like
He
that.
was hanging out with
You know what I'm saying?
Mr.
Like
Shaw.
that's why I say maybe.
I hate you. I hate you.
I mean, I'm saying like maybe he not coming in and say, hey, this Miss Phyllis, we dating. He just say, hey, he
This
can
is
just
my
say, hey, this is my
friend.
friend. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. It was weird. I mean, we're getting to know each other and emergencies happen. We'll do something kid friendly.
So Golden Corral would be all right that day.
Really? Could you stop? Could you
Hey,
stop?
little Johnny like to eat at Golden Corral.
Oh my God. Little Johnny, let's introduce you to something else. Like, let's
Hey, man, what's wrong with Golden Corral?
go to BJ's. Let's.
You can't eat all you want at BJ.
Oh my God.
You
No.
can-
You can eat more at Golden Corral for less money.
There's not all you can eat.
With
steak.
the,
Quality
with the same,
versus
with the same. No,
quantity.
I was just gonna say with the same quality food.
You
Hey,
can-
I'm just-
all
I'm-
you can eat steak and salad,
That's what I'm saying.
corn.
And you see they salad bar like
No.
they got a little shrimp on there.
No.
They don't got that at BJ.
And no.
I
All
don't need-
capital no.
I don't need no.
Not
I don't need no jambalaya. I can make my jambalaya with all that stuff on that bar.
No, I don't mind. I can't stand y'all. If I know the kid, say the kid is in town and the dad has the kid for the summer or something, or he's on spring break, then we're doing things with the kid. I don't mind that.
As long as you don't go to Golden Corral, huh?
As long as we don't go to Golden Corral. And I'm going to stop talking. He can't.
Hey, I'm just saying.
We are in Orlando. He might be listening. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
I need to get off subject too much, but I really just appreciate Golden Corral now. But anyway, we move on. I used to hate it, but anyway.
Oh my God.
Talk about
Children
Talk about blended
in
family.
relationship,
talking
right?
about
Blended families.
We got
blended,
off topic
blended
slightly
babies.
as we discussed Ms. McCrae's
What about
hesitation.
couples who've had to like take in like a niece or a nephew? Like say your wife, hypothetical. Okay, well we know my husband, and his sister is like a crackhead, deadbeat, and to save his nephew, he's like, babe, look, we want to
That's
bring
commendable.
in little Johnny, but
I'd be all for it, personally.
you got to think about like you're integrating.
It's the same concept.
It's worse though. It's a little bit more stressful because this kid, you just Uncle Johnny to him. You're not daddy. So then you have to adjust to that on that level. And then you say, oh, by the way, here's my wife. I'm bringing you into my house. You have to mold this kid into hopefully structure. If you two have a partnership where you guys have made this decision to bring in this child. I know a couple just now that's dealing with that. And at first it was a little rocky because he came from obviously a bad situation. And so here he's brought into this structured family, reading books, doing homework before bedtime, things like that. Like, as a wife, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. I would say we didn't have, it wasn't to that extreme. But, my brother tell you, I mean, I wouldn't say a revolving door, but it was a lot of people in and out of our house as far as helping people out with different situations. So, like me personally, I'd be all for it. Anything at the end of the day, especially you trying to help somebody. Me and my wife has already discussed that, and we said, we'll do what we have to do. Right. Especially you trying to help. If it's for the kids, you make the sacrifice, and we'll figure it out. Right,
exactly. And like you said, that was our experience growing up. Unlimited number of people.
Our house was nicknamed the Smith Motel.
And that's real. Like, that's the heart of a person.
It's definitely, and again, though, I think it's the same situation, and you slowly work your way through it. You slowly build that relationship with that kid, and then ultimately, maybe it's not necessarily about them calling you now mom and dad, but it's about them understanding and now respecting your authority. And that too is a process. We're kind of closing here at the end of the show here. We want to thank you for listening to Real Family Talk. Remember, this is WOKB 1680 AM, your urban empowerment inspiration station. We will see you next week, same time, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. on Wednesday. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Real Family Talk, Twitter, Real Family Talk. And we're launching a new website, so I won't shout out the website yet until the relaunch. But definitely find us on the social networks, Facebook, Twitter, real easy, Real Family Talk. You can find us there, like our page. We appreciate that. We love the likes. And so, like I said, we'll see you next week, same time. This is your host, Jay Real, signing off. You can follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us on Twitter, Real Family Talk. The website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.
For those of you that think that gospel music has gone too far, you think we've gotten too radical with our message.